Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. On today's show, we're visiting with Dr. Barbara Decker, Executive Director of Catholic Charities, and Emily Klaseris, Catholic Charities Community Relations Manager. We're visiting with them today about their work, Catholic Charities' mission, and the way they can help people in need during this time of giving.
Good morning, Barbara and Emily. Barbara, a good friend of us here on the show, and Emily, your first time appearance. Yes. So, hopefully it'll go as well as Brock Purdy playing against.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
Very timely joke there, Bishop.
Okay. Yeah, only Cyclone fans. You are not Ms. Irrelevant, so we aren't going to make any of those claims. All right. But thank you. And, we think about all the ways in which, people's hearts are stirred during this season in Catholic Charities. But on this Making It Personal, Barbara, you have been such a pillar of this community in so many ways, in the nonprofit and the agencies and things. Your involvement prior to this, and then with Drake University, too. Could you just recount real quickly, some of the touchstones in your life that now has you at Catholic Charities?
I love that, Bishop. Thank you so much for inviting us here today. I mean, over the last 40-plus years, may I say, I just have been blessed. When you think about the touchstones, as you say, and the experiences that I've had, and it's always about really serving people, listening to people, attending to people. And so that theme has gone really across the years in terms of my career, both professional and personal, and being at Drake University. But really prior to that, I was at the Des Moines Register quite a few years ago now.
I learn something new every day.
And, my background has been in human resources during the first half of my career. And so in that role, you're constantly working with people and all different types of individuals and ensuring that the workplace is a good place to work and those interactions. And then I was very blessed to be able to join Mercy Medical Center initially, those first 4 years in the hospital. And what a great place that is to learn about healthcare and the respect of nurses and clinicians and so forth. And then I also...
You yourself not a healthcare professional, but an attorney.
Right. I had a chance to go to Drake Law School during my mid-years. That's all I'll say. But I did that for a number of years, 5 years, on a part-time basis, and then working as well. My mother would say to you, that's not good for your health, but I made it and passed the bar and knew that I was going to be able to offer my services in different ways. So at Mercy College, I was the president of Mercy College of Health Sciences for about 13 years. And then I retired for 2 weeks, and and I was recruited and nominated for the position that I currently hold.
Your husband, Larry, said, why don't you look for another job after 2 weeks?
This is probably my last career, as far as we know. But throughout, thank you for asking. Throughout, it's just been a great experiences, and I've learned so much about people, and hopefully they learned from me as well.
Oh, yes, and it is one of the great blessings for me to be able to collaborate with you, and you are a leader in so many ways with a gentle touch, but a great rigor and things, that you apply to yourself and your people.
Yes.
So bringing Emily on board.
Oh, yes, Emily.
All right.
About 7 months ago or so, all right?
Yes, it's been about 8 months.
Okay.
8 months, I think, so... it's been good so far.
So you didn't start out with your career goal being at Catholic Charities, but the Lord works in mysterious ways. And
I didn't. I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of maybe thought I wanted to go down a similar path as Barbara and maybe do some law stuff. But then that just really didn't work out. I ended up graduating during the pandemic. So that kind of threw a whole wrench in a lot of plans. So I did sales for a couple of years and then just wasn't really fulfilled in sales, didn't really care about it necessarily. So I wanted something that I could
We won't name the
we won't name names. But no, I just wanted something that I could be more passionate about and feel good doing. And so I ended up here. And so, I've really liked it so far, really like helping people. I feel good at the end of the day and not that I had to just sell things to random people. So no, I I'm very appreciative.
You've been captured by the mission.
Yes.
And there's a sense that this is your own,
yeah.
calling, at
no,
least at
absolutely.
this phase of your life in a beautiful way.
Absolutely.
And we'll just give a shout out to the Dowling Catholic High School alum.
Yes.
Yeah. And
yes,
then,
2016. So.
All right.
Then Iowa State. So.
Iowa State.
Right.
Go Brock Purdy.
Well, there we go.
Right.
I did not know that when I gave you that. So, but all right. Well, that puts you in good company with a few folks in the studio here. But
That's right.
Good. So Barbara, back to you.
Yes.
The mission of Catholic Charities, there's a unique, profile of Catholic Charities depending on the dioceses that have been involved in various ways. And Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Des Moines coming up on a centenary here in a few years, right?
Yes, yes. We'll be celebrating 100 years in a couple of years, and we'll be working in partnership with the diocese. And the diocese has really just been a great partner and valued partner, as we look at the type of work that we do and the individuals that we serve. So it's been good.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's been some visioning in the mission.
We recently we recently have gone through a strategic visioning and strategic planning, and we have really focus goals. You talked about my background, but really we have focus and we have vision in terms of moving forward in advancing Catholic Charities over 100 years. Mm-hmm. And there are many people, Bishop, that we want to thank in terms of its legacy because they've all contributed to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. So there's the kind of grassroots, ground level delivery of services, goods that help people in their human condition. What are some of those? And then how, maybe some more systemic things that are involved.
Well, we have essential services, and that's really where our focus is. It's universal. So when you think about Catholic Charities, we're looking at the very basic services, basic needs of people. Think about food and clothing and emotional care and help. Certainly looking at our food pantry in addition. And, I could name all 5 of those services that we do provide in the programs, and they're located throughout the diocese, as you know. So primarily in the central Iowa area, but then also southwest Iowa, where we're servicing 9 counties, and then throughout that area within the diocese. But our heaviest concentration in Council Bluffs area and the 8 or 9 counties surrounding that, we're providing significant services, very broad services in domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And we have a shelter as well. So if you want me to go on, I will.
Well, I really, think, you think about, pilgrimage and people on pilgrimage, but people who get caught up in people who want to exploit them or whatever, in the I-29 corridor, and in the Council Bluffs, Omaha, that's an area where there's so many beautiful things happening, but also the dire, human misery and exploitation that's going on. So drawing people even who are helping, I think, from Creighton Medical Center who come and volunteer.
Yeah. We have great partners in that Council Bluffs area when you think not only about the Creightons, who are great partners, but also the legal advocacy work that we do. So we're in the courts. We're also in the social services arena. We work with the Sheriff's Department. And when you think about the broad range of individuals that we work with because of that support, the staff do a terrific job of being able to offer that, meet with people who have been victimized and now survivors, and also our shelter area as well. And so we have an on-site shelter. We have a 24/7 crisis line as well that people can call into. So we look at every way in which we can, provide service and respond to needs for those that have been, assaulted, abused, or trafficked in terms of those situations. It is very heartfelt, but it's also very difficult, in terms of working. And as you know, we do a lot of trauma-informed training with our staff, not only in the Council Bluffs area, but also at all of our facilities. And we have a Des Moines shelter as well, in which we're working with residents there as well. So the work is very important to us, and it's we want to be sure that we're able to meet those needs.
Very compelling. We think about it's primarily women, I would imagine, that are being served in these shelters. But
it is women. It is women. I would say that because of our mission in terms of servicing families and individuals, especially at the Des Moines shelter, we certainly offer to families. So it is, men and women and children. We see a lot of children in both of our shelters as well.
Mm-hmm. And again, I've certainly on this show and in many other places, I held up this sense of a human ecology, a culture of life and care. It's, certainly the unborn, but this is the continuum of life and people who are vulnerable in various situations. And so the church, through its primary arm of Catholic Charities, is there and is accompanying folks in this way. So beautiful. Emily, as you think about community relations, obviously we want to respect the people that we're serving in some way, but there's a broader message here of good news. And so talk about how maybe for you, cultivating the relationships in the community has been part of your focus, and then how has this begun to take off for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So especially kind of engaging with the parishes more. We're all kind of fighting for the same common goal. So, keeping them informed with everything we do definitely, provides us more support and, allows us to work toward our mission. But, we don't want to stop there. We definitely want to inform other businesses and different, groups and communities in our community about what is going on. We do have some great community partners that are always willing to help us out. So I feel like it's just important to remember that we're all kind of fighting for the same thing. We all want to help people, have people have their basic necessities and a roof over their head and all of that kind of stuff. So
right, and we're stirred perhaps with the Christmas spirit to be generous, but this is a year-round endeavor, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are maybe some of the highlight moments that may be in the course of the year? And I know some of these events continue to come forward in a new way, but any things that you would say is on your calendar as you look ahead that you're trying to bring into people's focus?
Well, we do have our annual fundraiser coming up in March called Shamrocks and Shenanigans. So that's definitely something we have been working on here. But other than that, like Barbara mentioned earlier, in 2025, we have our 100-year celebration. So we're kind of getting that all together. But other than that, just continuing to do work for our programs and get them all the things that they need and all that good stuff. So
one of the things that Emily does do is quite a number of things, but the two or three that I would mention is donation drives.
Yes.
And so right now, Bishop, during the Christmas Advent season, there are a number of parishes that are helping us out. We do want to shout out, if you don't mind,
please,
to thank St. Francis of Assisi, Knights of Columbus. They donated just recently boxes and boxes of socks and toothbrushes, and so Emily will be certainly collecting all those and then providing those to all of our programs so that everyone benefits from that. St. Joseph's Catholic Church is holding weekly donations on a variety of needed supplies and essentials. St. Augustine's is helping our food pantry and our local shelter. St. Teresa's is, and this is important because it's year-round. St. Teresa's has been helping us with cab fares. So what does that mean? It's funding in order for our clients at the shelters, the residents at the shelters, to be able to, since they don't have transportation, many of them, they're able to use those funds to be able to take a cab and go to the doctor or, go to wherever they need to go to in terms of their appointments. So, I think the impression is here is that it's little and, big things. It's anything in between in terms of what the needs are for donations. And we also... Emily would mention to you that we need volunteers. We always need volunteers in all of our programs, so we can go to the website as well.
Mm-hmm. And yes. Volunteers of all ages.
Yes. Yes.
Not just young people needing service hours or in other capacities, but seniors who are looking, maybe to continue to have that contact.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think across all of our programs, we have volunteers of all ages. So, if anybody wants to volunteer, contact me.
And so, obviously, a cadre of volunteers, but trained professionals, because the situations where we're dealing with people who are vulnerable, perhaps some with mental illness, some who maybe have struggled with substance abuse in that way. And so, there are sometimes some tense situations that the staff has to deal with, but those are not situations that the volunteers are going to be charged with.
That's right. And I think it is important to note that, in our counseling program, for example, they're all trained, licensed practitioners. And so we have individuals both in Council Bluffs and then also in Des Moines therapists who are able to provide that emotional support and counseling services. So, we look at that and the importance of professional training, but also all of our shelter staff, as I mentioned, they're all trained, our food pantry area trained, because we are encountering situations in which people are under a lot of stress and emotion. And so we want to be able to meet their needs, but at the same time be able to respond to them in a way in which we respect their dignity as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, tremendous. So, Emily, I don't know if you've heard about these events, the breakfast with the bishop. I think we temporarily paused those, but I think you and I will be collaborating, right? So,
yes.
So make sure the stock of coffee mugs are well in place.
Yeah.
Those
are
are coveted items, with my Episcopal crest on there and the motto. So,
hard to keep those in stock.
There is swag, yeah. So, maybe we could branch out on the radio show, for support of certain
Christmas
worthy
gift.
causes. We could start sending. I don't know what Spirit Catholic Radio does, but they've got nothing on
We
us
have the
here.
cups.
No, thank you to my friends in Spirit Catholic Radio.
We're going to take a quick break. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. We are back talking about the work of Catholic Charities.
So thanks for staying with us, ladies. Before we go any further, we may have stirred people's hearts and who are looking for a way to express their love for Jesus, love for his people, our brothers and sisters. So, Emily, what's an opportunity right before us now, or how might people provide some support to people who are hurting right now?
Yeah, so on our website, on the homepage, there is a list of...
and that is, the homepage is...
on catholiccharities.dm.org, the homepage on there, you will see an updated list of donations that are needed amongst all of our programs right now. And then for online contributions or to look at our Amazon wish list under the Contribute tab, you can click on Give to see that Amazon wish list and contribute online if you want to. But if anybody would like to volunteer other than donate, that's definitely something we are in need of as well. So people that are willing or wanting to do that can contact me at eclaceris@catholiccharities.dm.org.
Klisares.
Yep, he got it.
All right.
Woohoo!
Woohoo. Okay. So again, and this is part of it's under the rubric of the angel tree, right?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So Barbara, maybe a little bit more serious things here, but there are some who may be listening who are hearing different reports in the media and different things where Catholic charity isn't always portrayed in the most positive light, and we think about matters related to food bank, to relief, refugee relief services. But one of the more, I think, maybe volatile things politically is with regard to immigration and matters on the border. And Catholic Charities Des Moines is a partner or participates in Catholic Charities USA, but those are distinct organizations to a certain extent.
Well, Bishop, I really appreciate the question. And sometimes it's challenging in the sense of getting feedback from individuals, but also I find it to be educational and informative. I always welcome phone calls or contacts. At the same time, we want to get the accurate, correct information out there. And I think, as you mentioned, whether or not it's food, whether or not, these are the essential services, immigration, certainly looking at our refugee program. We know what we do, and we feel very confident in the work that we're doing in terms of the ministry. And I think CCUSA, which is Catholic Charities USA, located in the Washington, D.C. area, very familiar with them. They are our network partner. And as you say, while we're not at the border at this time, we do know that there are other Catholic Charities partners that are there, and they're providing essential services, much like what we do. Now, the services may vary, but at the same time, that's the work of the Catholic Charities at the border, as well as CCUSA, is to provide those essential services. What they do not do is to provide necessarily that work in terms of immigration visas and things of that nature, where people who are coming into the United States, they're applying for asylum and or other visas. That's not work that we necessarily do, to my knowledge. At the same time, we want to be able to provide them food, clothing, water, the very essentials that are needed. So we feel good about that. In our hearts, we know that that's the right thing to do in terms of our mission and our ministry, is to be able to help others in need. And so as we get additional information, if there are questions in terms of distinguishing that, we're happy to help with that.
Mm-hmm. And these are all lifetime things, so you just can't have one standing FAQ and provide that.
It's very fluid.
That addresses the situation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we would all agree that we need political solutions to immigration. The cartels, the coyotes who are exploiting people, perhaps for their drug purposes, with the Venezuelans who are crossing the border and other things. But confronted with the fact, like the Good Samaritan, you're going this way, and here is somebody who is hurting, who is in need of care and charity. Do we just simply say, how did you get here? What's your motivation or anything else? And again, not to be naive, but at the same point to be very strategic. And I think the one who comes among us as a babe, his own vulnerability, and so wrapped in the swaddling clothes that Mary and Joseph provided, but how do we as a body of Christ continue to provide support to help them continue on their pilgrim way? So we ask Christmas blessings upon all our listeners. Thank you for the ways in which Catholic Charities, Barbara and Emily,
Thank you.
And may God's grace continue to stir our hearts to bring joy and good news to the world.
Thank you, Bishop.
This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.